We are just hours from tip-off at the NBA Finals with Game 3 here in Milwaukee, and the Suns leading the series by 2 games. I believe I've been told that 3D is headed out to the Deer District. All right. Let's take a look first, though, at the most points scored by any single player in his first postseason. Zoom in there on the left. That's not Brent or John. That is Rick Barry, who had 521 in his. Devin Booker and Trae Young joined that list this season with 490 by Book, 461 from Ice. Trae, of course, Book's running total is, well, it's still running. And he joined Shooter's Paradise to tell 3D just how.
He's our go-to player. I expect that out of him.
Booker gets a good look for 3. It's good. Booker using the screen beautifully. He is lethal from mid-range. Way downtown for Booker.
Legendary, and he's not disappointed.
And he shoots the same way, first quarter, fourth quarter.
Booker for 3.
He is a guy that can be the best player in this series and end up with the jewelry.
Shoot or shoot. You may miss your first couple shots, but how do you find a way to get to your spots to get going?
It's trusting the work, trusting, all the time that you've put into it and understanding, it is a make-miss league. But yeah, just if you've put the work in, you've seen multiple situations, you believe in yourself and the confidence is there, they'll start falling.
Booker knocks down a 3. Layup off the glass. Sweet play from Devin Booker. And what a first playoff run it's been for Devin Booker, their leading scorer.
Most people say when a young team or a young player comes to the playoffs, they have to learn and take some bumps. But you're not playing that way. Why?
I've taken a few bumps, through my career. Even though it's not the playoffs, I've been thrown into the mix. I say through preparation, I think our team works, top to bottom. Works really hard and envisioned ourselves being here in our workouts. You're working at that level where your imagination is so high that you're in a playoff game, feels like you've been here before.
Booker to Paul, 3-pointer. Let's go! Chris Paul pouring it on right now. These Phoenix guards are special.
You shared before that you and Chris Paul have a great relationship. Taking me back to that first conversation, though, that made you confident that y'all can play well together.
I didn't need much conversation with Chris Paul to understand if we were going to mesh well together or not. I've been watching that man for a very long time now, and, just understanding, how much he can influence a team before he even steps on the floor. The phone calls, the communication, the link-ups at the house, the watching film together, so it's bigger than just what you see him do on the court. The culture and the aura about a team.
31 for Booker. The Suns halfway to a championship, a 2-0 series lead, 118-108, beating the Bucks in Game 2.
How are you guys keeping even keel for Game 3 tonight?
We're not at our goal yet. We're not at what we set out to get, playing in this environment here in Milwaukee, playing against this Bucks team. They're not going to give in. We understand Giannis, Drew, Chris, those guys can for sure get it going. So we just have to come in ready to go. I think we've seen pretty much every situation through this playoff. And for us, it's just to execute what we have to do.
Season after season, NBA fans have included Devin Booker in that conversation surrounding the best in the game, but now he's doing it on the biggest stage that the NBA has to offer. Is he, Brendan, in your opinion, perhaps a future MVP?
I think he can be. I think when you look at the young stars that are going to take over when guys like LeBron James and Kevin Durant pass that torch, his name has to be mentioned. His game is just built to score the basketball. There's not any flaws. He goes left, he goes right, he has step backs, he has step throughs, he can shoot from 3, he can shoot from deep, great free throw shooter. He doesn't have a single hole in his game, and he's only 24 years old, so there's still room for him to get better. As he continues to grow and as the Phoenix Suns continue to win, I definitely think that he could be an MVP. And Grant, it all comes down to the winning. For years, guys like you and myself, we've watched Devin Booker. We've had a healthy respect for his game, but the average NBA fan really hasn't paid that much attention because the Suns haven't been winning. Now that he's on the big stage and he's getting it done at an elite level, more eyeballs are on him, more people are taking notice, and I definitely think that wave of support and attention could carry him possibly to an MVP one day.
Well, for once, I agree with you. I mean, I think
For once? Whoa, wait a minute. Slow down. Slow your roll there,
If
buddy.
I could not count the number of times I've heard those exact words from this guy.
I'll rephrase that. I do agree with you on that. He has that potential to be an MVP
For once, yes.
candidate for once. It's really fascinating. He's a guy who can really shoot the ball at an elite level. Came in the league as a shooter, was the best shooter in his draft. But his ability to put the ball on the floor, ability to go get in the mid-range, he can shoot while covered off the bounce. He also improved this year his ability to facilitate. He got better finding his teammates, playing unselfish basketball. So, yeah, I mean, he does. And, Brendan, you said it.
Watch out, GFT.
Watch your ankles.
Yeah.
You said it best, though, that this postseason, with the unfortunate occurrence of guys getting hurt, we've seen new emerging stars in the postseason. And Devin Booker is one of those. Fun to watch, electric, dynamite. And this team, regardless of what happens in this series, moving forward, the Suns are for real.
Yes.
They will be in the playoff picture. They will be contenders as a result of this experience moving forward. And so Booker now has a lot of runway in front of him. Still a very young player, still a guy that has a chance to lead his team back to this possible spot. But I think an MVP is definitely a possibility. His confidence after this experience and then the Olympic experience going into next year, watch out.
You mentioned earlier, Brendan, that perhaps he hadn't received as many accolades or as much recognition this season because of Chris Paul's presence. But what has Chris Paul's presence done to elevate Book's game?
Chris Paul's presence makes Book's job a lot easier. He doesn't have to be Superman every single night. Sometimes he can just give the ball up and let Chris do his thing. And we saw Chris Paul kind of have the same presence with James Harden in Houston. And that's why that team did so well. James didn't have to take over every single ball game and do everything for that team. So Chris Paul comes out there, he's able to score when he needs to, but at the same time, he can facilitate and get Booker easy shots and easy shots for the rest of the Suns as well. So he alleviates that pressure off Booker. And for Booker, less is more. He's scoring less, he's doing less, but man, it's meaning a lot more because the team is winning, and that has a lot to do with Chris Paul.
It does. And, when you have a great young talent, you want to have veterans around that young player. Teach them how to play, teach them how to be a pro in this league. But you're bringing in a veteran who's a Hall of Famer.
Right.
And there's certain intangibles, the word you used earlier, that Chris Paul just brings to the table. Understanding the pressure and the responsibility of being a franchise player. And so to be able to learn from Chris Paul, to have him as a teammate, obviously, yes, takes the pressure off. Another great talent, another guy who can make plays for his team but also for himself. But just the little things that Chris Paul has learned along the way that he can pass on to Devin Booker, and certainly Booker has benefited and will continue as he moves forward with his career.
Well, we're going to take another break, but our coverage continues right here in Milwaukee ahead of Game 3 on ABC. And guys, the Deer District is
they turning up
to fill up.
Okay.
Oh, wow, look at those hats.
Be careful with that jacket, 3D
That's
out there.
No, he's on his way up. He may be out there already.
Be careful.